Okay. Once again, I want to welcome you to this session of our engagement and streaming. Uh, like like the normal ritual, I want to say thank you to all the audience and to all people who are involved in participating in our program. We want to say we are most grateful. May God through the universe bless you. Those who are assisting us also in cash, in kind, those who are giving all forms of assistances. I just want to say thank you very much for your assistance. God through the universe richly bless you and honor you for whatever you are doing and whatever is your heart desire and what you so endeavor to achieve in life. May the universal intelligence guide and protect you and lead you to be able to attain it, and also lead you into the path of righteousness for the glorification of the divine essence. From the very depth of our hearts, we say we are grateful. So thank you very much for your effort. We've been discussing ways divinity communicates with humanity, or ways by which the supernatural establish connection or communication with the natural realm. And this is a very, very important topic to me, because it seems that most often than not, many people pray, they engage in all sort of spiritual exercises, they do fast and do all those things, but it appears to them that there's no answer coming, or there's no response to the petition that they have been supplicating the supernatural dimension or the higher realm for assistance. But the truth of the matter is, every supplication that we make, which is in alignment with the natural laws, and it's kind of done appropriately, must have a response. Because when we speak, the supernatural or the invisible dimension, the entities or the beings that controls that dimension do respond, because we are in constant connection with these beings, we are in constant connection with these entities. So whichever procedure that you use, either you use the audible prayer, you use the metaphysical means, you use the mystical approach, the directional and ritualistic prayer, or use the contemplative approach of communication or meditative approach of communication, whichever procedure or process that you use to establish contact with this non-physical dimension or the supernatural dimension, or to say the divine dimension, there has to be a response. Unless, of course, what you are doing, you are totally disconnect, and if you are totally disconnect, then it's just a mere physical activity which has no link to any higher dimensions of reality. So then you're not going to have answers. That's why Bible says in the book of Matthew that when you pray, you do not have answers, because you pray amiss, you pray inappropriately. But when you pray appropriately, the divine world listens, the divine dimension listens, the supernatural dimension listens to our prayers. That there's no doubt about it. That absolutely there's no doubt about it. And also the scripture also talks about the fact that whatever you ask, you shall receive. So if everything that we ask on earth, we are supposed to receive it, that means that every petition that we make, consciously, unconsciously, must have a response. So if the response is not forthcoming, that means that that petition was done inappropriately, and because it was done inappropriately, it has no connection to any dimensions of supernatural reality. Because what you should understand is, like a government, as we have a government on earth, we have the president, we have the vice president, we have the councillors of state, we have the chief of staff, we have the ministers, we have the deputy ministers, we have the MPs, we have the regional ministers, we have the assembly members, and so on and so forth, the municipal and district chief executives. All these are forms of hierarchies that are there to collectively form a government to help a nation function. So when we come to the spiritual dimension, there are different departments headed by different system of government which are there to foresee to the total well-being of humanity and the entirety of creation as long as our earthly evolution is concerned. So we have the creator, we have the divine principle, we have the creator, we have the allocator, we have the masters of light, we have the ascended masters, we have the lords of karma, we have the angels, we have the archangels, and so on and so forth. All these group of intelligences are what we describe as spiritual hierarchies, and they are there to help and to assist us and to guide us in our earthly evolution. Some of these beings guides us in our spiritual ascension, or guides us on the path of truth, on the path of wisdom, and the path of enlightenment. Now, some of these beings to also guide us in terms of our earthly experiences, which are the laws of karma, which see to it that we go through the necessary life experiences that we need to go through. Then there are those who also govern our timing, how things happen to us according to time and seasons and places. So there are all sort of beings of intelligences governing different aspects of our lives. Then we have other entities to that governs our material aspect, our financial life, our creative life, our marriage life, and all those things. So anytime you seek to supplicate or you sit to pray, you are connecting to a particular frequency and a particular dimension of reality. And there are beings in this dimension of reality who are mandated, and it is mandatory for them to respond to your petition. Now, when you petition and there's no response to that petition, it only implies that that petition that you made did not get to the destination to be able to draw the necessary attention of relevant beings who are mandated to respond to such petitions. That is why when you pray, answers don't come. But when you pray and when you supplicate and you get yourself connected and there's that establishment of the link, automatically the answers will come, the response will be given. For instance, when you have a chip, microchip, and you put it in your phone, and your chip doesn't sit well in the chip space in your phone, you realize that you are not going to have network. Then the network signal will go off. Now, when the network signal is off, whoever calls you, irrespective, it could be the president, it could be the MP, it could be the regional minister, it could be a deputy minister, it could be chief of staff, it could be anybody, whoever calls you, irrespective, will not get through to you. Why? Because your chip is not appropriately seated in its space. Hence, you have been denied connection to a network. But when your chip sits well in its space and there is the appropriate connection, what happens is that anybody who calls, both Tom, Dick, and Harry, the good, the bad, and the ugly, who calls you, there will be an establishment of contact, and your phone is going to ring. Whether it's the messenger, is the MP, is the deputy minister, is the minister, is the regional minister, is the chief of staff, is the councillors of state, or is the president himself, whoever calls you would establish contact with you. So is our prayer life. When our prayer life is not well established, and we do not pray amiss, we establish contact with this system of reality, and all the beings who are ready to assist us or to communicate or to respond to our petition can reach to us. But when there is a disconnect, because our prayer chip is not well situated and is not well appropriately placed in the communication gadget, it then deprives these higher intelligences to be able to establish contact with us. This is the whole thing. So when these spiritual intelligences are establishing contact with us, we should know that they are calling. Because if we don't, the response will come and we'll go past the response, or the response will go past us, or we gloss over the response. And this is where a lot of people have made a lot of errors. Many have prayed, many have fasted, many have gone on retreat, many have engaged in lengthy meditation, both subjective and objective meditation exercises, yet very few are able to identify when these intelligences of beings are establishing contact with us to give us a response to our petition. So if you don't take time, you think there's no higher intelligent being trying to help us in our earthly evolution or our earthly journey. There's always been with us. They have always been with us on this earth and beyond this earth. Because within the terrestrial dimension, which is our earth space, there are beings here who are ready to assist us. They are placed here to assist us. Some of them are in the water bodies, some of them are in the trees, are in the mountains. They are all around us. That is even within our terrestrial space. And then when we come to the extraterrestrial space, there are also beings there who are ready to help us. And these beings are the benevolent extra ETs, or who we call aliens. They assist us in so many ways, granting us technology, granting us different ideas, granting us different state-of-the-art inventions, granting us different levels of innovation, granting us different levels of creativity according to their level of intelligence within the space where they live. Just as we have bad entities or evil entities on this physical space who are in to destroy us, so we have good entities or benevolent entities on this earth space who are in to assist and help us. So to every nation there is a God. To every nation there is a God. There is an entity that governs each nation. Likewise, when you go to the extraterrestrial dimension, because that is the terrestrial dimension, when you go to the extraterrestrial dimension, there are also beings there, and they are the benevolent entities or aliens and the non-benevolent aliens. Now, these non-benevolent aliens, their agenda is to destroy us and to take away our space. One day we'll talk about that. And we have the benevolent entities, the benevolent beings in the extraterrestrial realm who are in to assist us. So if you, and they did some of these things, they show it in the form of movies and cartoons. Watch these cartoons, look for these cartoons and watch The Guardians of the Galaxy. The Guardians of the Galaxies. Watch it. It tells you what I'm talking about. There are beings from the extraterrestrial dimension who came in to destroy our space and to cause chaos within our earth space. And there were other benevolent extraterrestrial entities, which are aliens, who also came to help us defend ourselves. They are in the cartoons and everywhere. But this reality, this is what it is there. And for those who have participated in our extraterrestrial exploration, would attest to that. Myself, I will attest to that. So these beings and entities are there. Some of them are benevolent, who are in to help us, to give us fine technologies, fine inventions, fine innovations, fine creative ideas. Some of them too are non-benevolent. They are malefic in nature, and their agenda is to destroy and cause chaos on our planet. So then they feed us with self-detrimental and injurious type of technologies and ideas. And then we have the celestial dimension beings, which are beings of love. Which are beings of love. In the celestial realm, they are purely beings of love and beings of light. And they also, ascend and descend to our earth dimension to also contribute to our well-being. So that shows how special we are as a people. Who is man that thou art so mindful of? What is it in us that all of creation is particular with us? Some are in the agenda of trying to cause chaos in our life experiences, and some are in there to work to cause balance and tranquility and to defend us in this moment. What is there in us? And all these beings communicate to us. Sometimes we sit down and we think it's an ordinary thought that came to us. Anytime a thought of destruction, a thought of self-injury, okay, or injurious thoughts comes to us, we should know it is being filtered from malefic entities, either from the terrestrial dimension, or extraterrestrial dimension. Or from the astral plane or the astral dimension. So you notice that when you are there are times you pick ill feeling or ill thoughts, and there are times you pick loving and compassionate thoughts. The type of thought frequency which you pick determines what energy or what entity is influencing you as at the time the thought was filtering through your conscious mind. So we need to be aware and to be conscious. So to the level of our receptivity will determine how we know our petition or prayers is being responded to or not. And one of the means by which we say these entities that we learned in our previous sessions, that one of the ways by which, or some of the ways by which these entities kind of communicate with us, establish contact with the natural dimension, is through dreams. It's through dreams. And we talk about the fact that dreams comes in different forms. We have realistic dreams, you have abstract dreams, you have emotional and thought form dreams, and we have dream revelation. We explained all that one in our previous videos. And then we also have transvision. Okay? And we talk about the fact that transvision is a partial or a complete state of unconsciousness, a partial state of consciousness, or a complete state of unconsciousness, that in that state, when we become disconnect from the external reality, we begin to pick frequencies from the internal dimension through pictorial or visualization means of visualization. So we get visual images of events yet to unfold in the non-physical reality as we get into the state of partial consciousness, or absolute unconsciousness, then these imageries are revealed to us to communicate informations to us. We also talk about the fact, I think the last session we talked about is face-to-face communication, and read a few scripture on it, and we talk about the fact that sometimes these entities, which are benevolent and malefic, depending on where the frequency is coming from, can take on physical form. Sometimes they can take on the form of an animal, they can take on the form of a human being, that can take on the form of a lunatic, they can take on any form and any shape to manifest physically, to have face-to-face communication with us. To have face-to-face communication with us. So these are ways by which the supernatural dimension or the higher dimension establish contact with the natural realm. So if you don't know some of these things, your response, the response to your petition will go past you and you're unable to identify them. And a lot of people have missed out on the response to their petition and their prayers, simply because they were unable to identify the medium through which the responses are channeled. And I gave you, in the last episode, I gave you my personal experiences with regards to my encounter with physical, face-to-face, divine or supernatural response to my desire and my petition. And how these people prophesied into my life and they just vanished into thin air. Never saw them until the prophecies were fulfilled, or whatever they prophesied or they said was fulfilled, and I had a glimpse of them again, and since then I have never seen them again. So these things we talk about are a reality. Some of these things we talk about, most of them are things we have experienced and we are still experiencing. So when we talk, we are not talking book knowledge. We are not talking sensuality. We are not talking hearsay. We are not talking reading. Most of the things we talk about are our own personal, practical experiences. Today, we are going to proceed with what we have learned, we have discussed so far, and we are going to proceed with the next one, which is hearing information, or for more technical word, intuitive communication. Intuitive communication. And in this form of communication, the hearer hears the voice but does not see the person. You hear it loud and clear, that even when somebody is close to you, the person doesn't hear the voice, but you hear the voice loud and clear. We call it intuitive communication or hearing communication. And this gift is meant for people who are pure and advanced to some extent. So we have the instinctive, under this hearing we have the instinctive, okay? We have the instinctive and we have the intuitive. We have the instinctive and then we have the intuitive. This hearing thing. We have the instinctive and we have the intuitive. So the supernatural dimension or the divine dimension can communicate to us instinctively, and as well can communicate to us intuitively, and these are two different things. These are two different things. It's either you are receiving instinctive communication or information, or you are receiving intuitive information. All are form of hearing information or forms of hearing communication. But one is intuitive and one is instinctive. And I will explain to you and show you the difference. But what I want to establish is that, be it instinctive or intuitive, any form of hearing information can only be heard by the hearer or the one they are communicating to. Even when you are sleeping on a bed with somebody, the person cannot see it. It's just like a dream. It is personalized. It is in a very advanced state that you can dream what somebody is dreaming when you're lying with a person. And I've experienced this a couple of times, where somebody I'm lying with is dreaming, or in the same room the person is dreaming, and I could dream what the person is dreaming. In that case, you have entered into the person's frequency, and then you've entered into the person's electromagnetic space or field. So you begin to experience that which he's experiencing in his inner world or in his inner dimension. But this calls for the fact that one needs to prepare himself well and to reach certain frequency. Either through, you can never participate or get yourself involved in such activity in the non-physical reality. So the hearing information is strictly limited to the hearer, whether it is instinctive or intuitive. So there are times you tell that you are there, and then somebody tell you, "Oh, me take Kwame in Kancho," then you realize that Kwame comes in. Or he will be there, he will tell us something is telling us to go. Let's go, let's go, let's go. When you leave, then something bad happens. Or when you leave, you meet somebody you've long been waiting for. And then you ask that person, how come you know we'll meet him? The person will tell you that, your friend will tell you that, something was telling me. They are filtering information into his non-physical ears, or what we call the spiritual ear. It is also sometimes referred to as clairaudience. It's sometimes also referred to as clairaudience, the ability to hear without an audible voice. It's also referred to, or sometimes called, clairaudience. Just as the ability to see the non-physical reality is sometimes referred to as clairvoyance. Clairvoyance. To be able to see visions. Sometimes it is referred to as clairvoyance. And these are all extrasensory perceptions. Clairaudience and clairvoyance are all part of the extrasensory perception, which one can develop through certain prayer, meditation, and fasting exercises. Because all these things never comes on silver platter. That is the truth. You need to practice, you need to exercise, you need to put yourself into it, time, energy, and money, to be able to develop these unusual abilities. We call it unusual abilities not because it is unusual. We call it unusual abilities because not everybody is able to develop it, because it is not easy. And people who have developed such abilities, sometimes you can sit with him and then you are conversing, and you are telling someone, he can just tell you, "Oh, do this, when you go do this," and it will happen. And when you develop yourself to this level where you're able to develop these latent abilities, that is where you get to the level that in most cases nothing is hidden from you. Because you can tune into people's frequency, not just to be receptive, but also to apply this knowledge. Like for me, Unless, of course, I'm not interested. But when you talk about me to somebody, I would know. There is no way. Don't ever think that you can discuss me with somebody that I will not know. That is practically impossible. But even sometimes when I drive home, I can sit in my house, in the car, quietly in the house, and I can able to pick into the frequency what has transpired in the house, what discussion has gone on in the house. I can go to the office and then sit quietly in my office and then just tune into the frequency of the audio transmission, and I can tap into what discussion has gone on in my office. These are gifts that everybody has it, but we call it unusual abilities because not everybody has the propensity or has the patience and the dedication to be able to develop these abilities. That's why we call it unusual, because you need to behave unusual to be able to develop these unusual abilities. But it is there for everybody, and it's an ability which is within everybody. Why? Because it is part of that divine essence that form our consciousness. It is there. Me, when you sit in front of me and you are telling me something, you are lying. I know you are lying. I may not bother myself with you, but I know you are lying. There are a lot of times people have discussed with you, and I can call Abraham, come. You see, this guy said this is lying. This is the situation. And at the end of the day, the thing will come to light. The other time I can call Abraham, you see, this person has said this about this advisory to this person. He said, oh, say, I said, no, it has been said. Sometimes he argues because he finds it strange. But a couple of weeks, months later, something happens. Then you realize that it will come to light that it has really happened. So these are things that it's there. It's our natural ability. But they are unusual because not everybody pays the sacrifice and pays the price to be able to develop these things. I'll give you another class. I think 2 weeks. Is it 2 weeks ago? About when you left when we were shooting video. Yeah, about 2 weeks ago. So we're shooting video, and our apostle had to go home to take medicine, so he left. So whilst we were done and we were going home, I told them to call apostle. But when they call apostle will see that he's standing at Odoko. So I asked Michael to call apostle. I told them, I said, look, call apostle right now. When you call him right now, ask him where he is. He will tell you that he's standing at Odoko. So I made the IT engineer called apostle, and when he called him, he said he was standing at Odoko. And they were surprised. I said, no, I told you this is nothing to be surprised about. These are normal things. But sometimes I do something. Some of these things I try not to exhibit it, because when you exhibit it, people begin to be afraid of you when they are dealing with you. Because can you imagine that you're working with somebody that even when you are thinking, sometimes I don't want to express these abilities because it's quite a little bit something else. But sometimes when I'm working with you and you're thinking something, I know. I can just read people's thoughts easily. But you just see, oh, this is a normal guy you are working with. Because these things are not written. They don't come with observation. They are not written. You don't become a vegetable, but the whole thing is a gift inside you. So you can attain this gift and still look normal on the surface. But those who come to realize then become careful when they are dealing with you. And that is why for me, when it comes to my wife and everybody, they are careful when they are dealing with me. Unless, of course, you don't know that about me. But when you know about me, you are careful when dealing with me. So sometimes when people call, there are people you do things for, you pray with them and all those things, and then whatever they are looking for, they get the answer and they come back to lie to you. And then I tell, look, this person is lying. Because you can't speak to me and be lying to me and expect me not to know. Then what's the essence of the practice I've been doing for many years and I'm still doing? Even if as at the time you are talking, I'm so engaged in my mind that I'm disconnected from the reality, and I listen to it and I buy into what you are saying. When I am alone and I begin to think about it, the information will come that it is a lie. That one, there are no two ways about it. That's the benefit why we are developing ourselves through meditative practice, to learn to pay attention and to be receptive. What that divine essence inside us is consistently guiding us. consistently guiding us. And I am speaking to you from my own experiences, not book knowledge or not what I have read. But sometimes when you have some of these abilities, you just gloss over it, because if you don't take time, you can't work with people, and people find it difficult working with you. So sometimes, one of the things one of my teacher Dada White told us was that dare to will to know and be silent. Not everything you tune into that you have to react to it. You just dare to know, dare to will to know and be silent. You dare, that means you tune in, you create a desire, that is the will, you know what you want to have, then you become silent about it. And that is why sometimes it's very dangerous. You have to really prepare people well before you teach them these things. Because if you don't, they will be privy to a lot of information which naturally is not exposed to the public yet. And then it becomes a problem on how to handle it. So people need a lot of maturity before they get into this sphere of intelligence and harnessing information. About some couple of months ago, I was discussing with the Apostle about all these things happening. Is it what's the country's name? Burkina. And I was saying, look, this and this and this. And later on, I was telling Abraham that, look, this is what I have seen. This is what have been revealed to me. That they will plot to overthrow him. They're going to create a lot of issue. They will start from Ivory Coast, and then it's going to move to Benin area there. But eventually, they are going to use Mali. But now you see, it has come to the public. They are using Ivory Coast and then Benin. But because he has a good ties with the up there, he is not paying attention. But that is where they are going to use to infiltrate his space. But these informations are there. These informations are there. And it is not the preview of anybody. Everybody has this ability. You just have to develop the ability to be receptive. Now, all these things I am teaching you, or I'm talking about, that is dream, transvision, face-to-face information, hearing information, they are all founded on your ability to develop receptivity. And that is why the meditation exercise is very good. The breathing exercises is very good. That's why I encourage people to participate in the personality development program, because that is when you begin to learn the skill and the ability to be able to pay attention and to be receptive. Now, when you develop the skill of paying attention and the skill of being receptive, that is where the communication flows in, and you can capture the communication. It doesn't filter through and pass on without you observing. There are times when people call me to have discussion. Once they call me, they want to do, but before the person sit down, I begin to have a premonition of the kind of thing the person wants to discuss with me. One of my guys I mentored, who is now a lecturer, one day he told me, I said, oh, do you know what marvels me about this whole exercise? I said, what is it? Because there are so many things. Say, for him, his marvel and his joy is when he's lecturing. He lectures at Winneba University. He said when he's lecturing and a student raises his hand to ask question, he knows the question, he hears the question the student is going to ask, and hears the answer before the students ask the question. He said that is his marvel. That is his joy. That is what fascinates him about this whole spiritual exercise, this whole practice. He says that, say, obi or lecture or university or na obi person be question na. Say nipa kono man no so not appointing at the moment we're pointing nipa kono say ask your question, he knows or say question na nipa kono be bisa na what answer no answer nipa kono be na no akasa. Into no catch him, but this one it's normal. And then was something to say na sad way na we used to time my office, because it was previously one of my staff. But among all my staff, he was the most obedient. So he was the only one that I put him on the spiritual practice. The rest I taught them certain Kabbalistic training and all those things to do their own physical businesses. But it's the only one I I put him on to embark on the spiritual journey, and eventually he got connected to the inner light and sound frequency and all those things, because he was very patient and humble. You understand? So, and I told him, but this is normal. There wasn't anything to say. Those days when I now using a headphone, say, "Madam, phone be some say, oh, you be for nana." Yes, because he saw so many propensities, so many abilities. I exhibited so many abilities while he was working with me, because then he wasn't on a spiritual path. Somebody can just walk in and say, "Don't print this person's work for him. Don't do this. No, do this for this person. Forget about this person. The light will go off. This will do this. This will happen. This machine will break down. Be careful of this thing." And it's all the level of receptivity. And these are real things. They are there. Where any bibia humbisa. So bibi boni beto krana ya kachero. So if you disobey, a beto. When I was electrocuted, when I was told, almost about 2 weeks, the information kept coming. Electricity, electrocution, but I didn't pay attention. Even the day now electric nature the information came. I heard it clear through clear audience. Unam you say electric che obey. But I glossed over it. Said me electric to mention, and it happened. So the point is that no matter what you go through in life, you always have entities and energies and beings ready at your service. When you pray and petition, then they are ready to respond. But the problem is you are not trained. You have not prepared yourself to be receptive and to pay attention. That's the whole problem. And once you be able to train yourself to be receptive and to pay attention, all these things you roam, going from one spiritual person and running here, going there, it is not necessary. I'm telling you the truth. Sometimes it's from the very depth of my soul. I speak to you because I've once been in your shoes before. Fascinated and going from one spiritual center to another, looking for a living master, looking for this, looking for that. And now I realize that also all has always been inside of all of us. And these people doesn't want to tell us the truth because they want to control us, to have the congregation, to have the numbers, to have the followership, and to make money, so they don't tell us. And that is why when you come to the Way Network, we don't make followership, we don't make members. People are pushing for it, but it's not my interest. It's not something that I really it's not fascinating to me. So you need to develop yourself. And I'm saying that I am ready to help you develop yourself. This is all you need in this lifetime to be successful. When you are doing business, they tell you this person, don't do business with this person, it's not going to work. When this partner comes to don't partner with this person, it's not going to be. This contract, don't take this contract. These are our bona fide properties and abilities which we are given to journey on this earth safely, to avoid chaotic events. It's your right. It's your right. And you should be able to be receptive to informations which is being transmitted from the higher intelligence or from the supernatural dimensions to you. And the fourth of your ability to be receptive to this transmission or communication from this spiritual dimension is the ability to hear. That's what we are treating today. The ability to hear, which is the ability of clairaudience, the ability of intuitiveness, and the ability of instincts. The least of them, of this hearing ability, is the ability of instincts. Instinctive hearing is the least of them, and that is why everybody at certain circumstances cannot have an instinctive voice. We call it the still small voice. It's instinctive, it comes. Now these things come most of the time when you are about to approach danger or something evil is about to happen. And because these entities and these beings are there to ensure your safety, and because there's a gap and you have not developed your ability to be receptive and pay attention when they are talking through intuition or through clear audience, you are unable to assimilate and to be receptive to it. So what did they apply? The basic principle, which is instinctive, which means that they force it down to your soul. So you that there's something becomes a pressure. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Or leave there, or don't sit in the car. Get down from the car, get down from the car. We call it instinctive transmission or instinctive hearing. Because you have not developed the ability to be receptive and to pay attention and hear naturally, they force it down to your soul. And the intellect, the thought picks it. They call it the still small voice. Don't go, don't go, don't go. Or stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it. So with the instinct, it is more aggressive in nature. Now, when you come to intuitive, it is more subtle and more calmer. It's more subtle and more calm when it comes to intuitive, because at the stage of intuitiveness, you've developed your ability, not if not all, you've developed certain level of receptivity. You've developed some certain level of receptivity, so you are able to receive the information when it is coming. So they don't force it out, they don't force it down aggressively as instincts, but this and they communicate. Now with the intuitive communication, you hear the voice with explanations, and you can ask questions and they are going to answer those questions. That is intuitive communication, where the communication is no more one-way communication, but it's a dual-way communication. But with the instinctive communication, it is always one way. They filter the information down to the soul for the intellect to pick it or the thought to pick it. And it's always been one way. So when they say leave it, leave it, leave it, you don't know why you should leave it. You can't ask questions anyway, but it keeps coming. Leave it, leave it, leave it. Or stop it, stop it, stop it. Or drive away, drive away, drive away. That is instinctive. But with the intuitive, it's more subtle, and it's not so hard, and it's more calm, and you can communicate with it. It comes with reason. Oh, what this guy is saying is not true. So why are you saying it's not true? You see, this is what he's saying. Then there will be explanation. There's a dialogue. That is intuitive, because now you have advanced to be receptive. And once you are receptive, anytime there is that communication comes in and you ask question in your thought state, the question is connected and then the answer comes. So now your ability of receptivity enables you to dialogue through receptivity and thought creation, through receptivity and thought creation, through receptivity and thought creation. At that level, you can now graduate into inventions, because once you now can be receptive to information when it is being filtered and can ask questions and your question can sail through. Now when you want to invent something, oh, this thing, how do I do it? Okay, why is this thing not doing so? If it is so, why, if I do it so, how is it going to be the response? Or how is the outcome going to be like? Then it develops that. So now from that level, you can graduate into invention and innovation. But until you get to that level of intuitive communication or information, you cannot get to that level of innovation and create invention. So basically, this is how it is. So this divine forces always communicates to us, and one of the ways it communicates to us, as we are treating today, is hearing information or clairaudience. Now let's look at First Samuel chapter 3. Let's look at First Samuel chapter 3. We'll end with these two scriptures. First Samuel chapter 3. I have given you my personal experiences of audibility, hearing information and intuitive. But most of what I experience, they are not intuitive. They are not instinctive. They are intuitive. Because most of the time I can communicate. When I'm there, I'll be there. Then they'll tell me, do you know this person is talking, saying this, or this person is doing that? I say, why? Where is the person? Okay, why is he doing that? Oh no, why is he doing that? You understand? Sometimes when I sit to counsel or sit to consultation, when people enter the door, once they enter, I just look at the person, or so that I bend my head, then I ask, why is he coming? Then they begin to tell me, okay, his problem is this. When he sit down, tell him this, tell her this, tell her that, tell her that. So before the person start talking, I know what I will say already. There are times when the person will start talking, and I begin to investigate. You begin to investigate. We have non-physical investigation. Just as physical, we can ask you a question. Okay, so when you went there, what happened? That the CIDs. When you went there, what happened? So when this happened, what happened? Is doing physical investigation. We have the non-physical investigation. As you speak and I'm quiet listening to you, I begin to investigate inside. I ask inside, what he's saying, is it true? Why did he say what he was saying? What is his pure intention and motive for saying what he's saying? Is his intentions genuine and honest and sincere? Then they begin to tell you. It is there. This is natural. And I'm not saying this to appear any supernatural. It is not a supernatural thing. It is there. Everybody has it. The difference between you and I is because I have gotten the privilege and opportunity to train, to be receptive, and to harness this ability. It is there. Everybody has it. It will be. And that is what makes us different from animals. So when you are not able to develop these abilities, you are still living within the animal state or the animal propensity. What makes you a human being or a conscious being or a divine being is when you begin to harness these higher abilities of yourself. Either two, you live within the animal propensity. And when you live within the animal propensity, that means living within the realm of instinct, because the animal operates within the realm of instincts. And most of the people operate within the realm of instincts. And when you operate within the realm of instincts, always and most of the time, your life and your environment is very chaotic and disorganized, because there's always challenges, there's always problem here and there, and you're unable to figure out how to handle it. And sometimes you have to run from one counseling person to another counseling person. You have to go to one consultant. If it's business, you have to go to one consultant to that. Let me tell you something. To the business community, to those listening to me who are businessmen, every problem which is facing your business, you can find solution to. You don't need a consultant. I'm telling you. Every problem. Apart from technical problem where you need a technical know-how to approach it. Even with technical problems. Because we have handled technical problems and directed technocrats on how to solve a technical problem when we didn't have any knowledge about that field. Many times. Not once, not twice, many times. I'm telling you with authority, accompanied with humbleness, that you don't need to consult anybody in your business. You can relate with people, share ideas. But when you have a business problem, you have a business predicament, and you want real-time solution that is flawless and faultless, the only one spot you should go and contact is yourself. If you are able to learn the ability of receptivity. And you cannot be I don't know the word to use, a trouble-free businessman when you have not developed your ability of receptivity. I'm not saying you cannot be a successful businessman. No, you can be successful, but you may have a lot of problems to deal with, and to buffering mind, and to developing stress and anxiety, leading to BP and all those things. And you need to deploy a lot of hands to resolve your problems for you. But as a businessman, when you develop this level of receptivity, more than, if I should be very benevolent, more than 60% of the problems you can find solution to without consulting anybody. I'm telling you the truth, honestly speaking. Because all the solutions to the problems in your life lies within yourself. And the only barrier which is preventing you from harnessing the solution is your inability to be receptive and your inability to pay attention. In your marriage, the same thing. Every solution you need to foster a good and a happy home and a successful marriage lies inside of you. And the only barrier which is an impediment to a successful, happy family union and marriage is your inability to be receptive and to pay attention. Because when things happen, they can tell you exactly, approach it this way, approach it. Let me say, I'll give you another example. I like to use my life as an example because I am the one teaching, and it's my experience that I can use to teach you. Last week, last weekend, I was coming to work. I have a few issues, and I left home in an inappropriate way, in my opinion. And I realized that my wife was offended. It was a Saturday, so my wife was offended at the approach and how I left. I got home Saturday evening. I saw the coldness in her character and the unresponsiveness of her emotions in terms of when I was greeting and everything. I really didn't mind. I was quiet. I didn't really show any displeasure or discontentment. Then inside, I was asking myself what to do. It was in the night, so I went to sleep. Normally, I dropped them to church on Sunday. So Sunday morning, when she was going to church, I told her, should I go and drop you? She said she would walk. I said, but every time I drop you, she said she wanted to walk. So I allow it. So she went. Whilst I was at home, sitting in the living room, I was still contemplating inside what to do. I don't need to call somebody. Whilst I was contemplating and paying attention inside, I received the direction, go to the kitchen and wash all the cooking, the dirty utensils. I didn't pay attention. So I was just doing other things. Then I kept hearing the voice. Go to the, then there was like, if you want that thing to go off her chest, don't try to discuss with her. Don't try to engage her. Just go to the kitchen and wash all the kitchen utensils. Make sure everything is damn clean. The kitchen is damn clean. So I stopped what I was doing, got to the kitchen. I didn't go to the kitchen that night, and the morning I even didn't go to the kitchen. So I didn't know there was things. So I got to the kitchen and I realized the kitchen was with certain things to be cleaned, a little bit messy. So I went, cleaned the kitchen, cleaned everything, the rice, the cook, I scrubbed the bowls, everything, the balcony, they did, I put everything out and cleared the Isaac Sanka, whatever you used to do the balcony. You know, when it gets stuck, so they have to put water for it to get soft. And I cleared everything, I arranged the kitchen, wiped everything neat and clean, arranged the bowls the way she does it, everything, and I think I was in a room or something. I was in my bedroom or something when she came and she greeted and she went to change, and then I saw her went to the kitchen and nothing happened, and I decided to come to the office. I got out and I realized she was sitting in front of she was sitting in the porch, and I told her I was going, and I realized that this time around her countenance was cheerful. And she responded well. I didn't want to go a little bit deeper to engage more conversation because I wasn't so sure. So she responded well. I left. She called the boys to come and close the gates, and I got back home, and that was the end of that ill emotions. So this is just last weekend, the weekend before this weekend. So a lot of things you can solve if you learn the skill of listening and paying attention inside, because all the solution to the problems lies inside you. Even if the solution doesn't lie with you, the direction to the solution lies with you. I don't know if you understand that. If the solution to the problem doesn't lie with you, the direction to the solution lies with you. Because you must be able to go inside and be receptive for you to receive direction, and go and see this person, talk to this person, arrange with this person. Then you will assess the solution. So at the end of the day, the bus stops with you. Your ability to go in, pay attention, and be receptive. And when they speak, you must develop the ability to hear. 1 Samuel chapter 3, verse 4. 1 Samuel chapter 3, verse 4. It says that was about when God was speaking to Samuel, and Samuel was a novice and is unaware of the process of receptivity. So he needed to go through training. Everything you need to be trained. And that is why it's very necessary that if you are hearing me, you must participate in our personality development training. I know a lot of people have applied. I've done my sensors. I'll be doing it. Please don't worry. The applications. So I don't want to start with large numbers and all those things. Okay, so just a little handful. I start with them. Next month we'll start another handful, so that I can, because this is a training workshop, so I need to have time for the numbers. So I don't want numbers that is like as people do it, 200 people, 150 people. No, I can't handle it. And I can handle it, but it will not be properly executed. So I need to break it down in smaller groups and smaller cells, so that it can be properly handled. Maximum 50 people, or maximum 50 people is even too much. There's a maximum 50 people that I can handle properly. So please, for those who have applied, you definitely going to get in touch. And in the next class session, I'm going to give a specific number for the application of the, because some people applied. Honestly speaking, I have glossed over some of those applications because it kind of messes up with other WhatsApp messages. So it's very difficult to go through and scan everything, or kind of be able to segregate and then try to get everything. So those people whose own surfaced, those are the ones I was able to attend to. So now the next direction I'm going to designate one number for only those who want to participate in the personality development training, so that it is easy for me. I know all the WhatsApp that you get there is all about the personality development training, the questions and everything. That WhatsApp is only designated for that. So it is so for those who have not received anything from me, pardon me, probably I may have crossed over it, but somewhere in the middle of this month we would open the portal again. I've closed the portal, frankly. So somewhere middle of this month or the third week of this month, I will open the portal again. So, but this one, I'll give a specific number, which is only designated for personality. So as I don't cross over certain applications, because maybe you send it, other people send it now, they're not going to share. Because it's not only that WhatsApp message that we do receive from different angles, different purposes, different. So I have over 500 between 500 to 1,000 WhatsApp messages. I've not been able to read them. You understand? Because sometimes you're doing something, you leave your phone for a while, you come, there's so many messages. So the ones that you read the kakra, something else will pull your attention. And so for those who say the same messages and I don't get them, please exercise patience with me. Not that you need down here. So as I said, we are going to designate one number for the personality development class, one number for other activities, and one number for general inquiries. So these are some of the inner directions. So it's easy. I know that today I'm looking at general inquiries, so it's not going to be too much of a number. I know today I'm looking at personality. I'm looking at those people who want to participate in the join the WhatsApp group, so that it's easy to moderate them. So going forward, we are as when the issues arises, we go inside in the direction it's given. So that's it. So First Samuel chapter 3 verse 4, it says that the Lord called Samuel, and he answered, "Here am I." And he ran to Eli and said, "Here am I, for thou callest me." And he said, "I called not. Lie down again." And he went and lay down. And the Lord called yet again, "Samuel, Samuel." Arose, and Samuel arose and went to Eli and said, "Here am I. Thou did call me." And he answered, "I called not, my son. Lay down again." And Samuel did not yet know the Lord. When it says Samuel yet did not know the Lord, he has no spiritual connection. Okay, he hasn't got any spiritual connectivity. That's what when they say Samuel yet did not know the Lord, he has no spiritual connectivity. So he's unable to identify when the spiritual dimension or the supernatural dimension is communicating to him. Neither was the word of the Lord yet revealed unto him, just like I was explaining. And the Lord called Samuel again the third time. And he arose and went to Eli. Because always when he heard about it, he thought it's Eli that is coming. He has no idea about spirituality. And he has no idea about receptivity and ways by which the supernatural realm communicates with the natural realm. So anytime he hears a voice in his subconscious mind, he thinks it is his master Eli, the priest, who was calling. Because until that, he has never experienced that settled, voiceless voice before. And Eli said again, the third time, and he rose and went to Eli and said, Here am I, thou did call me. And Eli perceived that the Lord had called Samuel, has called the child. He being an experienced man, he perceived that it was a non-physical call and it wasn't a physical call. Now this is what he told Samuel. Therefore Eli said unto Samuel, Go, lay down, and it shall be, if he call thee, that thou shalt say, Speak, Lord, for thy servant heareth. So Samuel went and lay down in his place. So that is how it is. So he trained him. So you see, everything has to do with training. You need to go through training. You just don't think that you wake up and then spiritual. It's not like that. All this you are listening, peace and peace. It's not going to. You have to get a formal training. You get somebody who can mentor you, and that person who will mentor you should be somebody who also have his own personal experience. So when the thing is happening, he can relate to his experience and know exactly what is happening to you. Not all these people, they go and read book and then they come and present it as adept and spiritual masters. They go and listen to other spiritual masters and then they will come and present it as their own messages. That's not it. You have to get somebody who has his own experience. That's why when I teach, I try to use my own experience as case study, because I've lived it and I've gotten those experiences. I always tell people that I speak of my experiences. All other things are theories and book knowledge. And what I can speak to and testify of is my own experiences. That's what Jesus Christ said. I speak of what I know and testify of my experiences. Okay, let's go on. And the Lord came. When they said the Lord came, he's talking about the voice, the essence. And stood. Not stood as in come to stand there as a human being. No. These are all metaphorical statements. Just to make the whole thing poetic and in the form of story-like, so that it will be comprehensible to ordinary minds. You understand? Not that there was a God who came to stand. No. Almost drawn in such a way that it would look appealing and understandable, so you can perceive what they are trying to communicate. So the Lord came and stand and called as at other times, Samuel, Samuel. Then Samuel answered, Speak, for thy servant heareth. And the Lord said to Samuel, Behold, I will do a thing in Israel, at which both the ears of every one that heareth it shall tingle. And in that day I will perform against Eli all things that which I have spoken concerning his house. When I begin, I will also make an end. So then the inner intuition began to communicate to him, because now he was receptive. His faculty was open to be receptive to the inner voice that is coming from the spiritual or the supernatural dimension. This is how it is. So the higher intelligences always communicate with us. The terrestrial beings the terrestrial entities always communicate with that, and the extraterrestrial beings always communicate with that, and the celestial beings always communicate with us. But it's our ability to be receptive. Like in the case of Samuel, when the communication was coming, he didn't know. So if not for the fact that he had a mentor and a guide to teach him what it was and how to go about it, he would have gone past it, or he would have glossed over it, and he would never be receptive to it. And when the voice comes and it comes and comes and you are not receptive to it, it goes and never comes again. That is unfortunate aspect because you are not receptive. It's like when I'm calling and your phone is not ringing. I call first one, cannot be reached. I call second one, cannot be reached. I call third one, cannot be. Is the next probable thing I'll do is to stop calling. And this is how come a lot of people have lost their spiritual connectivity. They start prayer and fasting, they start fasting and meditation, but they've not developed the ability to be receptive. So when these entities come and they want to communicate to you, these beings come and they want to communicate to you, and you are not receptive, after some time they refuse to communicate with you. They stop communicating with you because you are not receptive. So then you keep doing it, and when there's no answers at the end of the day, you also give up, just like they gave up. So it is very essential and very needful for you to be able to develop your level of receptivity and your ability to pay attention anytime you are conducting any spiritual exercise or embarking on your spiritual development. It is key. And that is why, for me, in the personality development, is the first thing I talk to you about and the first thing I train you on, the ability to pay attention. That is the model one. The entire model one of the personality development course is to train you to be receptive and to pay attention. And once you can be receptive and have the ability to pay attention, trust me, the rest is taken care of. The rest is you need technical guidance. Okay, way to as a fakende way, way to as a for instance way, the rest is once you develop ability to pay attention, the rest is done. The rest is just formless procedures and technical knowledge. But if you are not trained and mentored on how to pay attention, you can have all these procedures, do all those prayers, do all those baths, do all those incantations, rituals, invocations, whatever it is. But when the answers are coming, you can't hear. When they're giving you the direction on what to do to solve the problem, you can't hear. Because don't forget that the solution will never fall from the sky onto the earth. And no being will come physically come and solve it for you. Whatever it is, they are going to communicate the solution to you for you to implement. So if you don't develop the ability to be receptive, let's say in conformable they are helping spirits, they are helping destiny helpers, and they couldn't identify, they were not receptive, and these destiny helpers are gone and they are still struggling. So the ability to be receptive and to know when this supernatural dimension is communicating is very, very, very important. Very important. And a lot of people have invited problems and worry into their lives because they couldn't hear that this husband or this man will bring you a problem. This friend will bring you problem. This relationship will bring you problem. This employment will create problem for you. This business partner will create problem for you. And a lot of people have brought chaotic problems into their lives because they are not receptive and they are unable to pay attention to hear when the Spirit is speaking. So you must be able to develop the ear to hear, the ear to listen or to hear. So you must develop the ability to hear. It's very, very important. For me, I don't know for other teachers, but for me, it is key. For me, it is key to spiritual development. Because when you do all these things and then you cannot hear, if you do all these things and you cannot hear, it is a total waste of time. Because if you do all these prayers, you do all this invocation, do all these spells, and you cannot hear when the Spirit is giving you the solution, it is a total waste of time. And this is the problem of most Christians. When they finish, they are gone. They don't know how to sit and to be receptive and to hear, because prayer is a two-way communication. Prayer is telling God or telling the supernatural dimension, or petitioning or supplicating the supernatural dimension. When you have petitioned the supernatural dimension, now it is your time to listen to them, to be receptive to them. Because when you are petitioning them, they are being receptive, they are quiet and listening. But how are you receptive to that supernatural dimension when you have finished your supplication and petitioning? When you go to court and you put your petition before the judge, don't you take time to listen to what the judge has to say? You do. And as below, so above. But go to the churches today. They pray. When I finish, everybody is gone. We've tell you what we want to, how you want us to go about it, what we are supposed to do about it. Nobody is ready to sit down and listen. And they don't even know how. When you go to the mosque, Allah Akbar, when they finish, then they pack their mat, they are gone. What has Allah got to tell you? What has Allah got to say? No time for meditation, no time to be receptive. This is the problem we have with religion. And for me, it is key. Whether you are a Muslim, whether you are a Christian, whichever religion you belong to, it is key. The ability to develop receptivity is key to your freedom and to your progress in life. And if you are not receptive and you don't have the ability to pay attention, it doesn't matter what religion you join, you're still going to struggle and have problems in your marriage, in your business, in your family, and in your social life. Because you don't have any inner guidance coming from your God that you serve through your religion. Because your religion is not the God. Your religion is a means by which you are trying to reach your God, because your God is not your religion and your God is not in your religion. God is not part of any religion. Religion is a sect or an organization through which we think we can reach that God. So God is independent and separated from all religions. Even if you are to give religion some credit. Not to talk about the harm that religion is doing to our intellect and our development. To God is independent of any religion. But religion is a means by which we think that through this process we can reach to that God. So if you are in a religion and you are reaching to a God which is not part of the religion and is not in the religion and is not subject to that religion, and you communicate to that God and you finish and you don't know how to hear from that God, how to pay attention and to be receptive to that God, you are wasting your time. And that is the problem, predominantly with the Christian faith. We don't train people to develop the ability to pay attention and to be receptive when the Spirit divine is communicating. When the Holy Spirit is communicating, we have not trained ourselves to pay attention and to be receptive to it. All we know is to keep bombarding the spiritual dimension with noise, with our petition, with our noise, with our petition, and we don't make time to pay attention and to be receptive and listening to what the Spirit has to say. And that is why you are praying all night and nothing is happening. And your life is from one frustration to another frustration. Your life is from one chaotic experience to another chaotic experience. Every aspect of your life or certain aspect of your life is very chaotic and very unappealing. Your marriage is very chaotic. Your business is very chaotic. You have problems almost everywhere. Is it how it was planned? The question is no. If no, then you have to find out. And to be able to find out, it's not about you talking, it's about you listening. If you come to me for counseling, and after telling what you need to tell me, you don't want to listen to me, how do you find out? You mention your problem and you want to find out what the problem is, so you must develop the ability to listen. You must give an ear to what I have to say. So as when you go to God as the master diviner or the master counselor, and you put your petition, which is your problem, before God, you must develop the ability to pay attention and give God a listening ear. To give God a listening ear is to be receptive to what He has to say. And we are always in a rush to leave the presence of God once we are done with what we want to say. Always in a rush to leave the presence of God once we are done with once you are done with our prayer, once you are done with our invocation, once you are done with your spell work, once you are done with your angelic work, you are quick to leave the presence of the divine. And that is your problem. Because every petition that is done appropriately needs a response. And the response will be given. But when the response comes, you are not there. But when you train yourself with the skill and ability to pay attention, to listen, sometimes I can pray, time inconveniences, I pray, I leave. But whilst I'm sitting in the car, I'm still communicating, being receptive. Because reception, you can do it anywhere. Receptivity, MTN, everywhere you go, you can have the reception anywhere. But the thing is that you must always stay connected in. Let's look at the book of Mark chapter 4 verse 9. After Jesus Christ has given the parable of the sower, we are going to end on this one. After Jesus had given the parable of the sower, that some fell on the fertile ground, some fell on the stony ground, and all those things. Okay, let's take it from verse 1 because we're going to close on this one. And he began to teach by the seaside, and there was gathered unto him a great multitude, so that he entered into the ship and sat in the sea, and the whole multitude was by the sea on the land. So Jesus Christ used technology here, where the people were allowed, and so he had to go to the sea where the wind blows, because the wind blows from the sea and comes to the land, and voice is carried by wind. So to be able to reach out to the vast number of people and for his voice to be heard, he didn't have microphone as at that time, but it's connected inside. So he climbed the boat, stood on the boat, and his back was facing the back of the sea. So the wind was blowing from the sea, could carry his voice to the ends of the multitude. Just to explain a few things here. And he taught them many things by parables, and said unto them in his doctrine, Hearken, behold, there went out a sower to sow. So if you watch, as I read, I want to give you keys, so as I read, also I'm receiving the information. If you watch what they said here, he taught so many things that day, but this was what those people who translated the Bible chose to put here. I suppose you get it. Verse 2 says that, I said that, and he taught them many things by parables, and he said unto them in his doctrine. So he taught them many things by parables, but one of them is what was documented here. That means there were other things that they didn't document it. 3, it says, Hearken, behold, there went out a sower to sow, and it came to pass, he sowed, some fell by the wayside, and the fowls of the air came to devour it up, and some fell on stony ground, where it had not much earth, and immediately it sprang up, because it had no depth of earth. But when the sun was up, it was scorched, and because it had no root, it withered away. And some fell among thorns, and the thorns grew up and choked it, and it yielded no fruit. And others fell on good grounds, and did yield fruit that sprang up and increased, and brought forth some 30, and some 60, and some in hundreds. And he said, verse 9, this is where I want us to pay attention. And he said unto them, he that has ears to hear, let him hear. He that have ears to hear, let him hear what the Spirit is saying. So we have something we call silent message. It's not spoken. So he that have ears, let him hear. So there is a hearing and there's a hearing. So he was talking about, not talking about the parable he was talking about, but there's something behind the parable. There's an intelligence behind that parable, that those who have the spiritual ear, those who have the clairaudience ability, those who have the intuitive ability will be able to perceive what he was saying behind the parable. So you must have the ability to be receptive. That's all Jesus is saying. Be receptive to the intelligence I'm transmitting through parables. But the parable I'm saying is not the knowledge, but there's a knowledge hidden in the parable. So you must be receptive to the knowledge of the parable. And to be able to be receptive to the knowledge of the parable, you must be receptive to the knowledge of the Spirit, the intuitions of the Spirit. But there's different dimensions to reality. Someday I will go to Bible tests and then preach. Go out of metaphysics and I'll come to theology. And you know that a lot of things they are telling you in the church room, it is not what actually it is transcendentally. It's not what it is. They are all allegories and metaphors that need to be coded and cracked for its spiritual intelligence meaning. So, on this note, I want to draw down the curtain for our today's live session. I just want to thank each and everybody for your time. I know it's been a long session. God bless you, and I hope and pray this message will be impactful in your life and will help you journey to ultimately realize your own abilities which are inside of you, just like it's inside of me, just like it's inside of any other master you admire so much. For me, I'm not a master. I'm just a teacher trying to spread the little knowledge that I have. But those who call themselves masters and guru are those that I'm referring to. So, and whatever gift they have is also inside of you. You can also harness it. And that's what I have come in my humblest of knowledge that I've acquired to let you know and to remind you that the greater is always inside of you. It's never been outside. So seek the greater within. Seek the answers within. Seek the solutions within. Seek the directions within. Be receptive and learn to pay attention. Thank you very much for your time. And I know in the next session it's going to be a wonderful one. Stay blessed. And God bless you. Uplift you in all that you are doing. Grant you knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. And give you insight to the things of yourself. And to elevate your consciousness and your awareness. So as you break loose from the shackles and chains of these metrics of psycho-spiritual and emotional enslavement. Thank you. And may you be uplifted.